on YouTube.
Is that?
That's what it says.
Sit down, I'll end up on the floor.
Live on YouTube.
Are we live?
Live, right. Good evening, everyone. It's now 6 o'clock and welcome to the ordinary meeting of council on Monday, 18th of May, 2020. We're still not back to normal and have our councillors live streaming as we have more than 10 to accommodate. Welcome to any members of the public and the media that may be on the live stream. Due to the meeting running over Zoom, please have your microphone muted. Have no background noise, TV or radios off, please. Please raise your hand to the camera if you wish to speak, and when voting, hold your hand up to the camera for long enough to Debbie to register your vote. On Thursday last week, we lost a great man. Tony Cole was an inspirational leader and humble in his achievements. Tony served on council from the 12th of September 2012 until the 31st of October 2019. He made a difference to whom and what he chose to be involved with for the benefit of his greater community. Working with Tony was a privilege, and I and my colleagues and councillors wish to pass on our condolences and thoughts to the Cole family and our former Mayor Tony Cockshawn, who had a great friendship as well as a great working relationship. Tony Cole was a dedicated man and a legend of our town who was well respected and will be missed. Would anyone else like to have any words about Tony? Would like to say anything? Okay, we will now have a minute's silence for Tony. Thank you. Moving to page 4 of the agenda, item A, apologies and declarations of interests. There are no apologies for tonight, so moving on to item 2, updates to the interest register. If there are any updates, please note on the register, and any conflicts can be declared as the meeting proceeds. Moving to page 5. Item B, minutes of previous meetings. Item 1, confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting of council held 9th of March 2020, pages 6 to 17. The suggested recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on 9th of March 2020 be confirmed as true and correct. Can I have a mover, please?
I'm happy to move that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Peter. And a seconder, Anton. Any comments? All those in favour, please raise your hand to the camera. Motion carried. Item 2, confirmation of minutes of extraordinary meeting of council held 23rd of April 2020, pages 18 to 21. And The suggested recommendation is that the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of council held on the 23rd of April 2020 be confirmed as true and correct. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Mora, and a seconder, please. Councillor Hay. Any comments? All those in favour? Motion carried. Moving to page 23. Item D, status reports of council decisions. I trust that you have read the report. Has anybody got any questions? Since this report has written, do we have any movement on the balustrade to the access ramp? Malvia?
Yeah, through the chair and the CEO, just as written there.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any sort of reasonable time that hasn't moved on since the report was written?
I'll have to confirm again with the contractors, but as I understand it, they're back working on it.
So we're on site, that's good to hear. Are there any other questions? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gibson. And a seconder, Councillor Becker. All those in favour? Motion carried. Moving to page 25. Item 1, draft Grey District Council wastewater drainage bylaw consultation of. And the suggested recommendation is on page 28 and comes from Councillor Gibson.
Push the button. The suggested recommendation is that 1, the report be received. 2, council adopts for consultation the draft Grey District Council wastewater drainage bylaw. And 3, council approves the summary of proposal for use in the public consultation. And can I talk on that, Your Worship?
Yes.
I think it's going to go a long way to cleaning up the confusion about who owns what and where the blockages are and who's got to pay for it. So it'd be interesting to see what the public think. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Mora, thank you. Any more comments? All those in favour, raise your hand to the camera.
Aye.
Against, no motion carried. Turning to page 96. Item 2, draft signage bylaw consultation of. I just want to comment, some of our signage rules in our district are outdated, and it's frustrating that only by operational bylaw that aligns with the current district plan, which is also outdated. We cannot make great changes until the Taipōtini 1 district plan is completed, which is going to take some time. In the plan, we need to make sure that we look at this area in depth. I've worked on many projects with community groups and have required resource consents for signage or artworks when they are only visually trying to improve our district when it's in great need of beautifying. It is costly and cumbersome and unnecessary, but can't be really changed. So this is just a consultation that with a bylaw that is in line with our 1 district plan at the moment, and the recommendation goes to Councillor Becker.
Okay. The suggested recommendation is that 1, the report be received. 2, the council accepts and adopts the signage bylaw for public consultation. And 3, council approves the summary proposal for use in the public consultation.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor McDonald. Are there any more comments? And Councillor Becker.
Yeah, this will make it more enabling as we put this in forward into the 1 district plan. It's been too messy for too long.
All those in favour? Motion carried. Moving to page 132. Was it 132 or have I skipped it? Oh, yes, there it is. Item 3, draft Grey District Council water supply bylaw, the consultation of. And the recommendation is on page 134 and comes from Councillor Gibson.
Yes, the suggested recommendation is that the report be received. 2, council adopts for consultation the draft Grey District Council water supply bylaw. And 3, council approves the summary of proposal as attached to the agenda report for use in the consultation.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hay, are there any comments? All those in favour, raise your hand to the camera. Okay, motion carried. Moving to page 200. Item 4, cemetery bylaw, minor change to provide for practical circumstance. Do you want to say something on this one, Paul, before we move on?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The council pre-COVID, if you remember, went through a public consultation and adopted a new cemetery bylaw. Part of that adoption related to base sizes, and we have since heard back from the 2 major submitters that the result the council came back with won't actually work for either of them. So the suggestion is that the council can go back out and consult on the minor adjustments. And we are suggested that the targeted consultation be with the previous submitters so that they can have input into what base sizes would work for them, so that can be considered by council.
Thank you, Paul. So the suggested recommendation is on page 201 and comes from Councillor McBride.
Yep, as it reads there, the report be received, and 2, council recognises that continuing with the current base size will produce an undesired outcome, invites the submitters to the Grey District Cemetery bylaw from the March 2020 meeting to participate in further targeted consultation on the finalising the base size for inclusion in the Grey District Council Cemetery bylaw. And 3, council undertake a targeted consultation with a report to come back to council consideration at its June meeting. And if I could speak to that, please.
Yep.
I think when this went through pre-COVID-19, that we thought we were doing the right thing by meeting in the middle there with the base sizes, but turns out that that wasn't the desired outcome, and I think we're doing the right thing by getting the 2 parties around the table to sort it out.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Gibson, are there any more comments? Councillor McDonald?
Can I just ask what size do, and Tim, sorry, through the chair, Tim may know, what size do they use in other cemeteries? Or is there a set procedure?
To answer the question through the chair, I'm not aware of sizing in other cemeteries, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, that's fine for me, thanks.
Councillor Mora?
Part of the reason we went for a slightly wider size was just to make it wide enough for a foot to avoid that issue of a trip hazard. I would just ask that when we consult, that possibility or consideration is given to maybe not, maybe just, you can go one of 2 ways. You can make it wider or you can make it narrower, and both will achieve the outcome of preventing someone tripping. So just that they ask that question.
Okay, are there any more questions? All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to the agenda items, page 218. Item 1, the Mayor's Report, March and April 2020. It was a very busy month prior to lockdown, but we've seen a large amount of work with business as usual, plus the added crisis of COVID-19. Thankfully, technology, as we got through this, was, there was still some very important decisions that we had to work on. Zoom provided a challenge that we all got used to, but I'd like to also thank you all for your support and work that everybody put in, all councillors and staff. So the suggested recommendation is on page 219, it's from me, that the Mayor's Activity Report for March-April 2020 period be received and the information noted. So I will move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hay, are there any comments? All those in favour? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 220. Item 2, Cobden Boat Ramp Shelter and the request to rename it. So I do think it is a very, very good choice, and I'd like to also thank the Lions Club for the work. They've vastly improved the area and all the other volunteers that did help on this project. The Nimmo family has been a great family of Cobden and the greater West Coast, and they will be remembered. When I grew up in Cobden, everybody knew the Nimmos. So the suggested recommendation is that 1, Council notes the request from the Lions Club. 2, Council approves the naming of the Cobden Boat Ramp Shelter as the Nimmo Shelter and congratulates the Lions Club on their choice of name. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Mora. Any questions or comments? Councillor McBride.
Yeah, love the idea and also intrigued to know a bit more information about the Nimmo family. I just wonder whether a bit of a plaque or some information on the family's history there. I see obviously Nimmo Park's a golf swing away from that location too, so I'd just love to know a bit more about them, to be honest.
Maybe it's something we could be noted to the Lions Club or something that we can work together to get sorted. Councillor Gibson?
Yeah, I just think it's great, the effort put in by everyone for it to even happen. I mean, I felt quite chuffed. They come and asked me to swell up some stainless downpipes for them, which I didn't charge them for. But it just, everyone had a wee bit in it. And if more community projects like that, like what Peter Haddock's been doing, the place it'd be a better place.
We also worked on that as well. So there was quite a bit of voluntary work going on. Councillor Mora?
Yeah, as a member of the Lions, Your Worship, it was quite a wide-ranging project in terms of voluntary input and financial input too. The New Zealand Motorhome Association themselves gave a $10,000 grant towards the building the facility as well.
Oh, wow, didn't know that. That's good to know. Any more comments? Okay, all those in favour? Motion carried. Moving to page 222, item 3, Denali requests to create a small community garden. Red Harper is a well-known community man from Moana who made vast improvements and contributions to his community in the Moana foreshore. Red now lives in Denali and has begun a new project out there developing a garden and maintaining the area and the creek, which was not in great shape before he arrived. He's planted shrubs and cleared out the creek and mows the area and is now somewhere for the community to enjoy. Red has requested that when he no longer can do so, that he has a commitment from council to mow the area and look after it. He would also like a picnic table or a seat to enjoy. Deputy Mayor Gibson and Councillor Green and I visited Red and we were very impressed, and we need more people like Red in our community that does these great things. So the suggested recommendation is from Councillor Haddock. And it has been changed slightly, so if we just make note that it's on the screen.
The recommendation is that that the report be received, and 2, the council agrees to the establishment of a community garden on Road Reserve Denali. 3, council agrees to funding the ongoing mowing of the garden, subject to the community at Denali maintaining the garden, plantings and bench. 4, council fund the first year's cost of mowing from the discretionary fund. And if I can speak to that, please, Your Worship.
Yep, thank you.
And this is another good project by Red Harper, been great what he's done out there. I just want to be clear that this is not to be a council registered park or reserve, and the community ongoing maintenance will be important in the consideration of the annual mowing funding. And note that the seat has been kindly donated by Mayor Gibson's dad, so there's no need for that funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gibson. Oh, sorry, I need a seconder, please. First. Councillor Gibson. Okay, any comments, Councillor Gibson?
Is $1,500 a year normal to mowing that? It's not a very big area.
Mel, know that.
Mel, are you there?
Yes, through the worship. Yeah, that's what we've estimated, but we can monitor it over the first year and see what the actual costs are.
Any more comments? Councillor Haddock?
I believe, Your Worship, that was going to be mown by the in-house team. Is that correct, Mel, please?
Through the chair, I don't know about that, but we can certainly find out on that one.
Yeah. If I may, Madam. If the in-house team are available, then certainly we'll deploy them to do the mowing. It makes sense that, I mean, that's a cost we already incur. So yeah, certainly if they're available, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any more comments, questions? All those in favour, please raise your hand to the camera. Okay, motion carried. Moving to page 229, item 4, early representation review. Paul's just going to speak briefly.
Yeah, Your Worship, can I just declare an interest, please?
Thank you, Councillor Fumai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report came out of a presentation pre-COVID. I think it was the March meeting we had this discussion around Maori representation on the council. What that we were effectively the representation review was promised in this year, and I've written about the steps of the processes to go through that. There is a memorandum of understanding between council and Ngāti Waewae in terms of our interactions and how we deal with each other. And one of the clauses in there, as I've written, is that a representation review will be done to give effect to iwi representation on council. Unfortunately, the legislation does not provide for that level of specificity, accuracy, if you like. There you go, I'm like. It allows for Maori representation, but it does not allow for iwi to be represented. For that to happen, potentially there is 3 pieces of legislation that I know of that would need to be amended. The Local Electoral Act, Local Government Act, and the Remuneration Authority would need to be involved. So the question council needs to decide today is whether it wishes to undertake a representation review. If it decides not to undertake a representation review, then it needs to do nothing more than that. In fact, it effectively makes no decision, if you like, because your previous representation review dealt with the position of Maori representation, Maori wards, which is the only way that you can do have Maori representation is through the establishment of a Maori ward. So the Act can't help us in that respect. If you choose to undertake a representation review, we will need to start that. You will need to resolve that, and then we will start that process. If you choose not to do it, then the voters of the district can call for a poll. A poll of voters is 5% of the voters in the district asking for you to reconsider your decision. If that 5% threshold is met, then you must conduct a representation review on the question of Maori wards. The recommendation that I've put in here for you to consider is a continuation of the status quo. So I think that's happy to take any questions.
Councillor Gibson? Can't hear you.
Yeah. I would like to see the status quo. I mean, Francois is the local iwi. We value his input, and he's been a big help to us on the council. And he's local. We need the local stuff to help us out.
Thank you. Councillor Moore?
If we're going to be true to the Treaty of Waitangi principles, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed between the British Crown and the iwis, represented by their chiefs. And so the relationship is first with the local iwis, not with Matawaka, so individual Māori who are scattered around the country. So we're fortunate on the West Coast in that we have a unique situation where we just have one iwi covering our district. So I think the relationship we currently have is exactly the right one that is truest to the Treaty of Waitangi. Other councils, because they overlap iwi, they've got a more difficult situation.
Thank you.
I would stay with the status quo.
Councillor Becker?
You mean by the status quo that, like, we use Francois for the consulting on the iwi and the treaty obligations rather than make a formal structure? Is that what you're saying?
If I can answer that, Councillor Becker, the status quo is as per your current representation review, which is not establishing Maori wards. How I have recommended that you instruct the staff to go and find a way to give voting rights to iwi, because currently we can't, under the current legislation, we can't do that. I've been thinking of a way that we can do that, but as I say, the current situation is as per your current representation review, which is the non-establishment of Maori wards.
Okay, so sorry, Councillor Becker.
I'll just wait till the recommendation because I've got a view I've written down on it.
Okay, so the suggested recommendation is that 1, the report be received. 2, council note that representatives of Ngā Matawaka have been informed that a representation review will commence this year. 3, council endorse its current view on Maori representation and confirm its view that separate Maori wards is not appropriate and it does not give Te Runanga o Ngāti Waewae the required partnership status with council. 4, in resolving 3 above, council notes that it does not comply with the certain aspects of specific outputs clause 2 of the Memorandum of Understanding between Council and Te Runanga o Ngāti Waewae dated 13th of May 2019, and invites Te Runanga o Ngāti Waewae to discuss amending that document. That Council write to the representatives of Ngā Matawaka formally advising them of the resolution 3 above. 5, to allow Te Runanga o Ngāti Waewae appropriate partnership status, Council instructs staff to report back to Council's July meeting with an appropriate structure to allow Te Runanga o Ngāti Waewae full participatory rights on Council. I will move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Moore, any comments? Councillor Becker.
Okay, I'm probably responding more to point 5 than anything. I've given this matter considerable consideration over the past few days, and having had Francois on council to observe and consult on behalf of Ngāti Wairau, it's given us invaluable advice and helped to streamline the treaty obligations for consultation that we have from central government. My view on this motion is not a personal reflection on him. This motion would change this role from a consultant who has full speaking rights to an unelected ordinary councillor with full rights to vote at the table. This will give one councillor the luxury of being able to have their say and not have to be held accountable at election time. I could not support in any way advancing that position with formal voting rights. That privilege has been hard earned by a long period community involvement in our respective communities, which in turn has earned the respect required to be voted on council. I don't believe any one entity or person should be given that right. And I consider any move to a formal representation for Maori must have approval from the ratepayers of the Grey District through a formal referendum at the next triennial election, which outlines clearly the options available to them.
Councillor McBride, sorry, had his hand up.
I was just similar with Anton there, number 5. More than anything, confused about number 5. Trying to get my head around it, but sort of summed up then by Anton. So what we're saying is that we put Francois on as a voting councillor by passing this tonight. Is that what that's saying? Or they're looking into ways of making that happen without going to a campaign as such?
If I may, Madam Mayor, my proposal is effectively, because council has the power to appoint outside persons to committees, which it does and will do in its Audit and Risk Committee, for argument's sake. My proposal is that council can appoint, and I'm kind of jumping the gun here a little bit with the report that we were going to bring back in July if you pass this. So I'll give you the outline of what we would be proposing. We would be proposing a committee of the whole council, and the council would delegate what powers it could to that committee, and then the council can appoint Francois to that committee, and he would have full voting rights on that committee. He still wouldn't have full voting rights for the council, but the delegated powers that council would delegate to the committee, he would have say on that. So the powers that can't be delegated, things like setting of rates, adopting of annual plans, adopting of long-term plans, etc. Those types of things are what council would still retain. But the thought pattern around this was, how can we, if that's what council wants, how can we get Francois' say on a body within council to actually have a vote? So I'd be proposing, my report would come back and it would be talking about a committee of the whole council with some delegated powers to it.
Any more comments there? Councillor Haddock?
Just a point, Your Worship. I believe probably we opened up the discussion before the recommendation was made, which is not on our standing orders. So that was just the first thing. But, you know, as a comment, I believe the status quo works really well. Francois, you know, is great on advice to the council, and council listen to the views of Francois and make the decisions accordingly. And his position on council is muchly appreciated and helps us in our decision making. So I believe the status quo is really good, and I think time for change would be at the next triennial elections. You know, that would be a time to consider change. Thank you.
I think Councillor Haddock, we did have a seconder, Councillor Mora, and then we opened it up to questions as per our standing orders. Sorry, Councillor Mora.
Yeah, I definitely support the status quo because I think we have that responsibility under the treaty to be in partnership with our treaty partner on the coast. But I do actually, and I made some similar notes to what Anton was saying around the conflict of interest of having a person who is not actually elected representing a block of people in a sense. So I really like the way we currently have it. And I'm wondering, do we actually need number 5? And my also wondering, is it possible to hear from Francois in this meeting?
Is it possible? The conflict?
We've noted the conflicts.
We have,
We can take that into account when we hear from him. I'm just wondering, is it possible to hear from him?
yeah.
Can we hear from you, Francois? Councillor Chilmahai or Kawakiri?
Understand yeah. It is a difficult one, I know it is for you, but also you need to understand as well in terms of the voting stuff and the process that, you know, we run exactly the same process as council does in terms of my election and my executive elections. I will run through a voting system similar to what you do for the normal process. So therefore I actually have ratepayers that have voted me into my position that I'm in currently within the Rūnanga. If that helps at all. And then just know my view on the ward, which is we don't support it for the obvious reasons that we've already spoken to. I'm not sure how much more to say. So
No, that's good. Thank you very much. Okay. Councillor Hay.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I must admit I had similar notes to Councillor Becker's written down here, but just endorsing what he said, I really am happy with the current memorandum of understanding that we have, and I don't particularly want to change anything. So that's my view.
Noting to everybody that it is for a staff investigation in the council, it still needs to come back to council to be approved, but it's just a recommendation at this stage that's coming back for staff to investigate. Councillor Mora.
Just out of interest, Your Worship, how large is the Ngāti Waewae constituency that votes for Francois?
Kawakiri Taumahai, can you please answer that for us?
yeah, we have a registration base of about 5,500.
Yep. Thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I support the status quo, and to me it would sort of be like democracy 101, that if there was to be a change, then it should be at the next triennial election or as a result of a poll. Yeah, just reiterating my support for what Anton brought forward. Thank you.
Someone else had their hand up there. Who was that? Sorry. Councillor Becker.
Just on the 5,500 through the chair, Your Worship, a question for Francois. How many of those in the Grey District?
Question. I don't know if that off the top of my head, but the bulk of our ones are in the grey area, followed closely by Hokitika. I don't know the exact numbers, mate. I can find out, but yeah. I would say, no, I'll be guessing. I don't know.
Okay, then shall we put it to the vote?
If you want to go one at a time, at 5, can put that as a separate.
Okay, we're going to vote on each item separately. We're going to, well, item 1, the report be received. Can I have a show of hands, please? All in favour? Motion carried. On item 2, council note that the representatives of Ngā Mata Waka have been informed that the representation review will commence this year. Can we put that to the vote, please? All raise your hands if you're in favour, please. Oh. can you please keep your hands up so we can record the vote, please? So all council notes that the representatives of Ngā Mata Waka have been informed that a representation review will commence this year. So all those in favour?
Is that similar to 5?
If I may, Madam Mayor, that's a factual statement. The previous chief executive wrote a letter saying that we would commence a representation review in October. This resolution recognises that that letter has gone out. That's really what it's saying.
Okay, so all those in favour, hold your hand up, please. Have you got that, Debbie?
Yes, I've got that.
Okay, all those against?
Okay.
Okay, got that, Debbie?
Do they wish that to be recorded?
It's all gone out. I mean, we can't change it.
Item 3, council endorse its current view on Maori...
Sorry, before Tim wanted to...
Sorry, Tim. Councillor
Sorry.
Mora.
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm a little confused. How can you vote against a statement of fact? We sent a letter out. We're just agreeing that we sent a letter out, that we're not actually saying anything other than that.
No. So the motion, but sorry, councillor Haddock. Can't hear you.
I totally agree, Councillor Mora. That's a statement of fact, whether we like it or not. The previous chief executive has sent a letter out as a fact, so we can't actually change whether we like that or not. That's a fact. So that's councillors should consider that. You know. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, council endorse its current view on Maori representation and confirm its view that separate Maori wards is not appropriate as it does not give Tirunanga o Ngāti Waewae the required partnership status with council. All those in favour? Motion carried. Number 4. In resolving 3 above, council notes that does not comply with the certain aspects of specific outputs clause 2 of the Memorandum of Understanding between council and Tirunanga o Ngāti Waewae dated 13th of May 2019 and invites Tirunanga o Ngāti Waewae to discuss amending that document, that council write to the representatives of Ngā Mata Waka formally advising them of the resolution 3 above. So all those in favour, raise your hand. Tim, have you got your hand up? Okay, so motion carried. Number 5, to allow Tirunanga o Ngāti Waewae appropriate partnership status, council instructs staff to report back to council July meeting with an appropriate structure to allow Tirunanga o Ngāti Waewae full participatory rights on council. So all those in favour?
That's all right.
Okay. Okay, so Debbie, have you got that? Okay.
You better put it there against because...
And against? Okay, motion lost.
Yep.
Motion lost. Got that, Debbie? Right, moving on to page 234, item F, departmental reports. So I'd like to say a big thank you to our staff that carried on throughout this challenging time and got on with what needed to be done. There was countless Zoom meetings and business as usual, along with COVID response changes that changed all the time through the different levels. New information came in daily on the situation and deciphering it and what processes need to be put in place. They did a very good job in very unusual circumstances. So, corporate services report, pages 235 to 238. The suggested recommendation is that the report be received and noted. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gibson and a seconder. Councillor McBride, any comments? Councillor Haddock? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Online again. Just a note of the low usage of the Runanga Service Centre, you know, especially with New Zealand Post dropping off, and you know that have to be looked at consideration in the future of that service centre, I would have thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments?
And another one, Your Worship, if I may, the Sunshine Coast. I was a bit surprised that you know we'd had 7 usages, but we'd only had 3 donations of the $50. Some of those from the schools. But $50 isn't much. Thank you.
Any more comments? All those in favour? Is everybody in favour or not? Thank you. Motion carried. Community Development Reports, pages 239 to 256. The suggested recommendation is that the report be received and noted. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Haddock and seconder. Councillor McDonald. Any comments? All those in favour? Are the rest of you in favour? Motion carried. Infrastructure Services Report, pages 257 to 270. Another thank you to the assets team who had a big workload as essential services and had the pressure of getting the shovel-ready projects applications organised. So hopefully we may get some good news soon. So can I have the suggested recommendation, is that the report be received and noted. A mover, please. Councillor Mora. Seconder, Councillor Gibson. All those in, any comments? Councillor McBride.
Just wanted to say how good it looks down Lydia Street at the moment with that work that was done recently by the contractor. It's really cleaned it up.
Thank you. Any more comments? Councillor Gibson.
Thanks, Tanya. Is there any more word on money for the bridges and stuff around the place? Is that part of the shovel-ready projects, or we had to go up money for them or whatever?
Would you like me? Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have put those projects in, and there's no call yet from the government as to whether they've been successful or not.
Okay.
Councillor Hay.
Yeah, through the chair, thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, can I ask Mel if there's any indication as to how long the recyclables are going to be kept putting into the skip for rubbish, not recycled?
Are you there, Mel?
Sorry, my space button didn't work. Yeah, just working through that today with the Smart Environmental. The answer is from tomorrow or the next day. It's going to be back to business as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haddock.
Just I noticed on the work there, Mel, to the Mill Creek Footbridge water line replacement. And I know we're losing a lot of water around town, but I actually went down and had a look again the other day, and that is pouring water out. So the sooner I guess that's done, when the contract can get on there, it will make quite a difference. I've been looking around town at quite a lot of water leaks and talking to various people, private people who have been attending to them, but that's one that is particularly bad under that bridge. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? All those in favour, just raise your hand. Councillor Gibson or Mora, are you in favour or? Oh, okay, motion carried. Environmental Services Reports, pages 266 to 270. Suggested recommendation that the report be received and noted. There's something I have been asked a lot over the weekend is that our freedom camping sites are closed. They will remain closed under level 2 as we have no way of contract tracing. Hopefully it will encourage people travelling to go to our local camping grounds and support them, and the review of the bylaw has started. So I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Gibson, are there any more comments? Councillor Gibson?
Oh, I'm pleased you say that, Tony, but your worship, I should say. But I understand there's still over 100,000 tourists still in the country. I hope they do use our camping grounds.
Hopefully they do. Any more questions, comments? All right, all those in favour, raise your hand. Motion carried. Moving on to the port report, pages 271 to 273. The suggested recommendation is that the report be received and noted. Progress is happening on the port upgrade, and it's looking pretty positive with our PGF funding, and we have been to see the dredge today, Councillor Haddock, Councillor Gibson and Councillor Mora, and it was looking very good, so it was very good to see. So can I please have I'll move that, can I have a seconder please? Councillor Gibson, any more comments? All those in favour, please raise your hand to the camera. Okay, motion carried. Moving to page 274. Item G, finance report. Item 1, list of monthly payments, pages 275 to 279. Who's declaring there? Councillor Hay, Councillor Haddock and Councillor McBride. Have we got that, Debbie? Got that, Deb?
Yeah, got that, thank you.
Okay, the suggested recommendation is that the list of monthly payments from the 25th of February, 3rd of May 2020 be received and noted. Can I have a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Becker, and a seconder, Councillor Green. Are there any comments? No, all those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against? Motion carried. Item 2, Item 2, finance report, pages 280 to 300. That the suggested recommendation is that the finance report as of the 31st of March 2020 be received and noted. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Mora, and a seconder. And a seconder, please. Councillor Haddock. Any comments? All those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay, motion carried. I will now move that we go into confidential. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Becker. Okay. Just going to have a short break now while the meeting changes.